Did you even have it's rundown. Phoebe. Little Miss Phoebe. She's a sweet girl, yeah. Yeah, Phoebe's sweet, so sweet. And here's Murnau, of course, talking to the camera. Gotta have cat in my face. Gotta have cat ass in my face, right? Of course. Speaking of asses in my face. Oh, dear. You know, I've said nice things about Dorian over at of Herbs and Altars in the past, and it seems the longer things go on, the less likely I am to repeat those kind things. Not only have I and another GothTuber with an audience similar in size to Dorian's noticed, but so have other people. But yeah, a few other people, including other smaller YouTubers who have apparently not been within Dorian's line of sight, have noticed that they're apparently baiting people for drama this last few months, at the very least, with a succession of videos that come out within a week, maybe 2 weeks tops a lot of times, piggybacking off of what somebody else in the YouTube goth community had said about some other topic or another. One of the earliest examples of this off the top of my head was Angela Benedict's Our Subculture Is Not Your Hashtag, and less than 2 weeks later, Dorian puts out Our Religion Is Not Your New Goth Trash and Accessory, something like that. And honestly, that was, I really kind of hope that was trolling, because here's the thing, is, you know, when you pick out certain things that Dorian said in that video, you can easily find within the past month on their Instagram alone, the month prior to that video of theirs, where they have directly contradicted what they said in the video about how certain symbols are sacred and shouldn't be part of fashion. And so what do? They wear these symbols as part of fashion, and it's all over their Instagram. And yeah, somebody I've been talking to actually made a little meme image of sorts with choice quotes as well as choice photos. So this is kind of hilarious, isn't it? Another quick example off the top of my head, because it is fairly recent, was about a week ago, so this would be the 17th of March, where I was having my live stream titled Pagan Feast of Hibernia, live stream Pagan Mass for Shut-ins, which, you know, the Mass for Shut-ins was a parody of or reference of sorts to it was on Sunday mornings, usually around 6 a.m. Mass for Shut-ins. That was literally the name of the show. Grow up Catholic, I know these things. In the Detroit Archdiocese, and I know these things. Like I said, I can't remember if it was a Detroit UHF thing, or if it was a WGN thing that was just, like, semi-locally syndicated, you know, in, like, the Midwest region. I don't know, but I do know that if I was, a lot of times when I was still awake on a Sunday a.m., or when I was young, and we'd get up early for Mass, and it's been going about at least 30-some years. but enough about Mass for Shut-ins. So, for those of you who did not tune in for my pagan Mass for Shut-ins, which was, you know, not only referencing that, but the fact that, on Sundays, the Ann Arbor Public Transportation sucks more than it does the rest of the week. And 2, being physically disabled with spinal curvature and chronic pain, as well as borderline low vision, I can barely function without my pain medications, and especially in the middle of winter, I am, which it's not anymore, but that's another story for another time, but, you know. Right, Kitty? You know all about that. The stream, at least a good portion of the first part of that stream, let's say first third of that stream, I am cooking. I am arguing with my pressure cooker to do a corned beef brisket. Yes, I know, it's an Irish-American thing, specifically borrowed from Yiddish neighborhoods in New York and the Northeast, and it just kind of spread to other Irish-American communities. History lesson there. Right, Kitty? Right. So yeah, I'm arguing with my pressure cooker, trying to cook a brisket, and, arguing with, I wasn't arguing with the twice-baked potatoes. I was actually having a very good conversation with the twice-baked potatoes. We were on the same page for the most part there. And some Brussels sprouts tossed in some olive oil with a little bit of way too much garlic salt, actually. And that's where the Mike's Hot Honey, oh gosh, please sponsor me, Mike's Hot Honey. This is like seriously the best thing to go with Brussels sprouts. I mean, I like roast Brussels sprouts with a little bit of garlic already, but a little bit of garlic and some of the hot honey, it's, oh my gosh. But that's another story for another time. So, while I am going about and cooking the meal and people are coming up and asking, you know, various crap and stuff, somehow the topic of the Columbine Massacre came up, and I did mention, and, you know, to great length, that I had actually been planning for pretty much since the beginning of the year that, in fact, like, if it had been my way, that would have been the video of mine that would have gone semi-viral amongst the goth YouTube, but, oh well, that's not, real life is what happens when things don't go the way you plan it, right? So, I mentioned that I had actually been planning since the beginning of the year a video about the Columbine High Massacre and what it was like being a teenage goth in a rural Midwestern high school, which was mine, of course. And how this just turned my world upside down. Me and the 4 others at my school in the de facto goth clique. Like, the only people who didn't treat us any differently after that were the, so, at my high school there were, like, you know, there weren't quite enough goths to fill out an entire lunch table at the cafeteria, and we generally had our lunches all at the same time, all in the same period, most of the, pretty much the whole time I was at that high school. So we did overlap with the RPG and comic book geek kids too. So yeah, we kind of shared. Yeah, we kind of shared this this pair of tables that just. And I need to do a video about the importance of comic books and graphic novels to teenage goths in the 90s, and my favorite titles from that period. But again, so, you know, it was like the RPG and comic, you know, kids and comic book kids they didn't treat us any differently. They were the only people in the entire school who didn't treat us any differently. And at some point, in explaining my plans for this video, I did get... I'm sure if I look back on it now, I would... because I'm already thinking in my head, oh gosh, I remember... talking about that at the camera while people are in the live chat texting at each other, and I'm thinking right now, oh my gosh, I probably just looked way livid and shaking because of the memories that brings up for me. And see, the thing about the Columbine massacre, and I'm going to go into a bit more depth on this for the proper video, which I do plan to post to my YouTube around the 13th of April. Just give a good week there prior to the 20-year anniversary. Yes, that is this year. It's been, god damn, it's been 20 years since I've been in high school. How did this happen? Kitty, did you do this? Yes, you did. So, hi, yes. So, like I said, I'm going to go into a bit more depth on this, but the big thing about Columbine is that massacre is it was a uniquely American phenomenon. And yes, this is an American accent. It's mid-Atlantic. Katharine Hepburn, Eartha Kitt, Vincent Price. Though mine's a bit closer to Katharine Hepburn, it is an affected accent. So, the Columbine Massacre was a uniquely American experience, especially American Goths, while there were Goths on the other side of the Atlantic, especially in the UK, who were aware of it when it happened. The power of the internet and social media and everything was nowhere near as big as it is now. So in the UK, people were certainly aware of it, and it was a bit of a topic for conversation in certain areas, especially the larger cities. Especially on alt-Gothic. The archives, the Usenet archives on Google Groups will show this, that it was a bit of a topic of conversation on alt-Gothic. It really did not impact the UK leg of the subculture in the same ways it impacted the US. And that is where things get quite disingenuous from our friend Dorian, who has established over the last few months, at the very least, that they are clearly baiting for drama. And I guess we all need hobbies, but at the same time, why pick this one? Like, why pick this one? Cat, no, please don't. Don't. That's a knitting loom. This is really not a good one to pick, because you will lose. And the reason I'm doing this video is because this has become a topic of conversation on Twitter. In fact, I cannot recall the last time I saw somebody mention the Columbine Massacre on Instagram, honestly. I really honestly cannot. The whole notion that anybody idolized the shooters is just asinine. This is a relatively new... This is a wholly new phenomenon, this whole, like, idolization of Klebold and Harris. This is an altogether new thing that seems largely contained to Tumblr. Thank God. But, you know, at the time, this was not something anybody ever thought of, you know, like, you know, especially in the goth clubs, especially not in the goth clubs, because first off, anybody who was actually involved in the goth scene at the time. Like, even if we were just in high school, had not, you know, even my friends who had never been to a goth club because, you know, they didn't go live in the UK during the summers and get in with perhaps some forged documentation. Ron McElroy does not endorse using forged documentation to get into clubs, but at the same time, he'd feel like a little bit of a hypocrite if he explicitly told you not to. I do not. Just probably not the best idea. Plus, like, ID these days is just so sophisticated. Literally, in the 90s, most ID for most countries, especially the US and the UK, it was literally like those manila folders, and laminated, with a picture clearly glued onto the manila folder card, laminated. It was really easy then. Can't get away with that now. I probably shouldn't have gotten away with it then, but I knew not to call attention to the fact that I was 14. But, so then what happens? So, you know, even people who had never been to a goth club, you know, 16-year-olds who'd never been to a goth club, knew that this was not at all representative of the goth community, and this is something where I think their video is painting this incredibly inaccurate portrait, because again, not only is Dorian lifting an experience that really isn't their story to tell. In fact, there are key parts of their video where they are clearly lifting from Angela Benedict's video that is 3 years old, but which she recently re-uploaded about a day or two ago. And so much of what they're saying to describe the facts about the Columbine Massacre is almost word for word from my live stream. I will provide a link in the description box, but I mean, you might need to fast forward a bit. My live streams can go damn near anywhere. But, I mean, judge for yourself. So many of their phrases from their own video about this is taken word for word from my live stream. And if not exactly, damn near close to it, it's a little too uncanny to be mere coincidence. I'm just saying, you know? So, again, hun, you're baiting. You're baiting for drama. You've been baiting for drama for months. Just, like, stop it. Get help. Hi. Yes. Maybe you need a cat. Maybe you need a cattail in your face like this, but you're more of a dog person, aren't you? So, yeah, please look forward to my upcoming video. I've culled so many fact sources about this incident to complement my own personal experience of having lived through it. Not the massacre itself, but the aftermath that it had on teenagers of a certain subcultural persuasion. And bats and kisses, sweethearts. Slan! And take care of yourselves until another time when I shall return to YouTube.